Another live broadcast of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. I'm Dr. Stephen L. Pettis, Senior Pastor here at Better Life Faith Church International, the ministry that teaches you a better way of living. And as always, those of you, if you desire prayer at this time, you can give us a call as the phone number appears across your screen. We have our daily, and I say daily, they are here daily, our daily Better Life prayer warriors who are just full of faith, full of power, full of the Word of God, just waiting to touch and agree and believe God for your miracle and even for your breakthrough. Amen. And even those of you, if this is your very, very first time viewing us, whether this is national or international, we welcome you. Let's welcome this national and international audience.
Amen. Amen.
And this is Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. Pastor Dr. Laura, it's good to see you once again.
Amen.
On this live broadcast. And those of you not familiar with this, as always, if you got a question to ask us, you can fill out the information, and hopefully before the broadcast is over, we can answer your question.
Amen.
Amen. Now, before we get into tonight's lesson, Pastor Laura, we've got an announcement. We've got something very, very special coming in the next few days.
Amen.
And this is our inaugural scholarship luncheon.
Amen. Amen.
So those of you, if you're anywhere near the Chicagoland area, you still got time to get a ticket. Matter of fact, it's this Saturday, April the 6th, right here at the church at 12 o'clock noon. This is our Planning Your Success scholarship. Matter of fact, this is something that you initially started at least 15 years ago. Really started long before that. Yeah. And it has just really grown into something really, really big. Many of you know we have the big fashion shows every year, but this year we're going to have a luncheon. So those of you support our scholarship. Part of that scholarship, we're able to help our young students who's going to college, just to be able to help them, to encourage them, and to further their education. So all of the information is all on the website and everything else. And hopefully we can see you this Saturday, 12 noon, for our scholarship luncheon. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
All right, Pastor Laura, what we're going to do on tonight, we're kind of give this a little bit of a theme, and we're going to kind of call this, how do you deal with whatever?
Amen.
So, so those of you, before we do the public Q&A, if you have your question, and feel free to whatever it is, you ask us, how do you deal with whatever it is, and we will answer it for you.
Amen.
Now, one of the things we want to open up with, how do you deal with? And the question is, as a parent, how do you deal with the teenage years? Specifically, peer pressure, in other words, hormones, sexual behavior, including same-sex, peer pressure on drugs, and cutting school. So how do you deal with that? When I kind of saw that, one of the things that came to mind, and one of the first things I want to say, it's really important that as a parent, we're parents, we have 4 children, they're all adults now, but it's very important that as a parent, that you lead by example. Amen. That's probably one of the most vital things, and I'm not saying that as a parent you've got to be perfectly perfect, but I've learned that you can't effectively lead anyone with do as I say,
Amen.
You know, without do as I do.
Amen.
You know, and one of the things, you know, I've said this for many, many years, that your credibility, and this is with anything, your credibility can be tainted if you're trying to tell your kids to do something that you're not doing. You know, I remember years ago we went through the thing nationally when they were just saying, just say no to drugs. Well, it's kind of difficult for you to tell your children, say no to drugs, when they see beer and wine in the refrigerator.
Amen.
You know, now I know we can mince words and certain things and say, well, one is worse than the other. That depends on who you're asking. You know, so accountability is extremely important. You know, then also too, telling your children they need to check their hormones when you kind of struggling yourself. You know, so example is always the best way to lead. Matter of fact, that's biblical.
Yeah.
You know, so that goes with anything across the board. Example is the best way to lead.
You know, Pastor, one of the things that I know for a fact, the parents is a beacon of light. In other words, the kids is in a tunnel, and they don't know how to get out the tunnel. In other words, there's so much darkness around them, and they don't know really who they really are. And that parent is that beacon of light. In other words, I'm in a tunnel, but if I don't see my parents at the end of the tunnel, then I don't know how I'm going to get out. Because the devil has designed the world a way of environment where it seems like everything he said is right. And when, you know, that's what the people fighting against their parents, because the devil seems like he's correct. Like, it's so many people doing this. Why should I obey one person that's living right? And so you have to press through their environment, press through the peer pressure, press through what the naysayers, press through what the relatives saying, press through what tradition is saying. You have to press through, and you have to be, and I can't stress it enough, you got to be born again.
Yeah. You know, when you're saying press it through, there's always a fight against authority. You know, and it's been that way for years, and it's really especially now with this fight against authority, where, you know, you can't tell me nothing. You know, it goes into levels of disrespect, and it has not really gotten better, but it's really gotten worse with each generation. So there's always that struggle there. Let me say this too, because I know you got some really key to talk on this. Even as a parent, it's also important to pay attention to what's going on with your child. You know, and I say that because sometimes if you can detect something early, then you can really avoid future problems. And that's a general rule. We know that even with your health. You know, that's why they tell you to get checkups. Because if you can detect something early, it could probably avoid something that can really go wrong in the future. So it's the same thing with children. Pay close attention, and you know. Now, as far as sexual behavior, you know, you can't shy away from it. You can't be in denial, and don't get in fear, because it's normal. You know, I've said this for years. You know, there's nothing wrong with an individual when they reach a certain place or age in their life where they start feeling things. You know, and I remember in the Christian world, this is going back many, many years ago, where people, some people, not everyone, the church would say, well, pray to God for God to take that away from you. Now, let's say you do something like that, then what? Then when it's time for you to get married, then what? Lord, bring it back? You know, it really doesn't work like that, you know. So that's one thing. You don't get in fear. You know, that's why it's important that even, and we're assuming sometimes Christian families, that you impart certain beliefs in your children that can help strengthen them as they do grow older. You mentioned environment. I think environment in the home is crucial. And what I mean by environment, even you've got to be mindful of what you allow on the television screen. You've got to be careful on the music. Because I remember back in the early 80s, they did a teaching, and I talked a little about that, about there is a spirit in the secular music. And then they did a study on, there was a lot of satanic thing in there. And at that time, I was a youngster. I really didn't understand. I understand it now because we know that Lucifer was over the music. So even with that, there's an environment with television, with the music, you got to be careful with that. And I say environment, certain environments, it can create an appetite. Yeah, you know.
That's one of the things that God really did not want Adam and Eve to discover.
Yeah.
The appetite. The appetite, because what the appetite does, it lures you away from the things of God.
Right.
And the appetite get inside you. That's where you have an adultery, or you have drugs, or you have womanizer, or you have sex immaturely, because it's desire.
Yeah.
Once the appetite is now, I know a certain lady that have not had sex in a while, and then the man came into her life, and I told this particular man, I said, don't open that door, because once you open that door, it's kind of hard to close it, because once they open it, if I have not had sex in a while, and I'm trying to live right, and this man is not saved, and this man is not thinking of things of God, he will open that door. And then what it'll pop back up my sexuality, and I'm back doing what I said I was not going to do. And I'm back in an area that I not want to be at. And so God said, that's why he said that he wants us to stay among each other. And when he said be among each other, where two agree. In other words, I should be around people that's agreeing where I'm going.
Yeah, yeah.
Because what happens is it brings up an appetite, and it brings in a loss. And that loss is that I lost something. I'm missing something.
Yeah.
I'm missing out. I'm losing something. And then devil have us bound by thinking we lost something. You lost time. You lost money. You lost friends. You lost family. You lost this and that. And God said, you have lost nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what God said. You have not lost nothing that I have not replaced in you for you to think that you have lost something. But Pastor, right now, what we're going on in our society now, we have television shows. We have internet. We have things that everybody is talking about. And I was just looking at something on television really last night, and it's a popular show. And one of the popular shows that everybody look at. And the daughter brought up, and she was less than probably 10 or 12 years. I don't know how old she was, but she have announced that she's gay. Now, and then when she announced, she said, now I told everybody, now I don't know how to dress. I don't know how to think. I don't know how to really show everybody else that I am feeling these things. And that is nothing but the trick of the devil.
Sure.
Because what it is, if they're doing this on live time now, and saying that it's all right, that my parents agree with it, that everybody agree with it, but now I just got discovered. This is nothing but the devil.
Yeah.
And so I thought about it, because it's so many million people are looking at this television show, and everybody thinks it's all right. It's all right, because let them do what they do. Let them feel what they feel. They have a right to their own, but you don't have a right.
Right.
You don't have a right. And so I ran into this right here, Pastor, Matthew the 25th chapter. In verse 31, and this is a very popular thing that everybody heard before. It said, when the Son of Man came in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, and then he sat at the throne of his glory, all the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them one from another, as a shepherd divide his sheep from the goat. And he will set up the sheep on his right hand, but the goat on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, come, you blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. And I was thirsty, you gave me drink. And I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Now this part right here I want you to look at. I was sick, and you visited me. He didn't say he healed me. He said, you visit me. Now, sickness in this particular scripture is about prolong of sin. Prolong of sin. You get sick based on you would not repent of your sin. In other words, you get sick. And he said, you visit me in prison. Prison is not the same as Cook County prison. In other words, my mind is locked. My mind is messed up. In other words, you visit me in prison. In other words, somebody, even though he didn't say he got delivered from prison. In other words, somebody gave me a word while I was in prison. In other words, my mind was locked. In other words, I'm thinking what I'm believing God, what I'm thinking is right. And this is how my mind, I'm in prison. Because you are in prison when you think what you are living. in the gayness or womanizer or sin, any kind of sin, you are in prison. And people think that, no, you visit me. No, it's not about the prison door. And we have lost this scripture because everybody, you know, even though it's good to have a prison ministry, it's good to have, but he's not talking about that. The prison is in your mind. Your mind is in prison. You are locked in that mindset, thinking you are right to think the way you are. You thinking that you can have this way and it be all right. You think that society will accept you because that's what society have done.
But see, that's what society, and we say the devil is, he's behind it. He's trying to put it out there so strong where it becomes acceptable.
Yeah.
Where you don't know the difference between light and darkness, right or wrong. You know, it's what Bishop Morton preached about 25 years ago about a twisted conscience, where you're calling light darkness, darkness light, sweet bitter. You know, when and the enemy he's putting it out there where we just become numb to it and eventually accept it, where it becomes the normal thing.
Yeah.
And then if your kids say something like that, then you're like, well, I guess it's all right.
And you don't understand that you put a seed in it because it's like, well, if she can say it, then I can say it. And if she can do it, then I can do it. And if he's doing it, I can do it. And the thing about this, words are so powerful. Yeah. You know, when you are learning to discover yourself, and when you learn to discover yourself, you have emotion discovering yourself. In other words, when you're young or you're still learning yourself, you might kiss a girl. You know, have anybody in kindergarten, or I'm going kindergarten and first grade, I'm going beyond that. Kindergarten, first grade, you might kiss a girl. And so then somebody might saw you kiss the girl. And then now your label is she's gay. That don't mean she's gay. Yeah. She just kissed a girl. In other words, they have put this label on you, and since you're not mature enough to know what that really means, you have accepted and said, okay, just like girls walk down the street and do like this. Yeah. Now, that don't mean they are gay, but if somebody see it and say, oh, you're gay, because you are touching somebody, and that don't mean that. It doesn't mean that I have a close friend that I'm touching, but see, the society said, oh, it's all right to do that, and put the label on you. I'm not saying you are, but put that label on you, and it develop in what you are. Then you start questioning, am I really that?
Right.
I think some women are attractive. Women are attracted to each other all day long. Let me be news to you. Women look at women's shoes. We look at women's purses. We look at women's clothes. That don't mean that you are gay. Because you're looking at women's shoes, or you say, oh my God, girl, you look cool. You look good. That don't mean, and so you got to get that stigma off of you to announce what you are. You're not that. And see, this is what we are. This is how we do in the body of Christ. We call those things be not as though they were. In other words, you take that label off of me. You don't label me this. You don't label me that. I'm a child of God. And I'm a child of God because I confess I'm a child of God. Sure. And see, what happened is we cannot lay down and let the devil roll these stigmas on us. And the Bible says you are sick. And sick is prolonged sin. Prolong anything that you have not addressed. You got to address. And it's called really a sick bed. A sick bed is a sexual problem that you have not addressed yet, and you're getting sick bed. You know, we always think like, oh my God, but this is where all of our illness come from. Unproductive or unaddressed sin. You know, you got the headache, because you want to address some stuff. Yeah. You want to address some stuff with your husband, want to address some stuff with your wife, want to address some stuff with your kids, and you just let it go on, and wind up you got arthritis, you got headaches, and you going in a hospital, your blood pressure is high, you taking drugs, you taking anything to suppress.
Now you're saying that, and we know quite a few people who went through certain things like that, where even the doctors couldn't necessarily find what is causing it.
It's a sick bed.
And it was real, but they could not find what was the cause of that.
Yeah, because what it is, we don't like confrontation. Yeah. And part of the body of Christ, this is your inheritance. Part of your inheritance, you got to deal with confrontation. You have to deal with what's going on. You cannot sit by and say, oh, it's all right. No. You have to deal. No, you can't do this. No, you can't go to the show with them kids. No, you can't. You know, one thing that I had to deal with when my kids were growing up, and I did not mind. I think I was born for this, even though I was never a fighter. I was never a natural fighter. I always used to run away from home, run away from school every day because people was fighting. But once I got saved, something got inside me that I did not care what you thought anymore. Because I believe God, and I was not going to let them intimidate me and tell me my kids have to be this way. And one of the things that one of my daughters wanted to be in the basketball. You know, she know how to play basketball. She wanted to do that. And the coach called me and said, "Oh, Mrs. Pettis, oh, she's a good basketball." Yeah, I said, "No, she ain't being no basketball player." Well, no. I don't care. She's not going to be a basketball player. Because I don't understand. I'm not saying anything wrong with a basketball player. I'm not saying anything wrong. But I know the desire of my child. She is not going to be. I don't care. You know, you go through different phases. Every kid goes through a phase. But you know the end of that phase. You know that it's nothing but a phase, and that's the end of it. I'm not going to let you stop here. Because I know the journey that God got for your life. But if you let me stop right here, I'm not supposed to stop. Because I like basketball, because I like this sport, or because I like these songs, I'm not supposed to stop. Yeah. You have allowed me to stop. And that's what a parent's job has happened. When you allow me to stop. Yeah. Yeah. And that's not but the son of the devil. And I said, I'm not going to let that devil rob me of my journey. It's bigger than the basketball season. It's bigger than the music I'm hearing. It's bigger than my friends right now. It's bigger than that. And when you see a bigger picture, then you will let the devil stop you and rob you of your journey. You know, I could have been married to this person, but I stopped when I dropped out of school. I could have had this career, but I stopped when I got into a game. Come on, y'all. Sure. You know, and part of the problem now, we know a parent that was so messed up because her child wanted to be in the game that she could not walk anymore. Yeah. That she got, her mind did not confront that kid. And grab him by and say, "Listen, you're gonna come home every day after school, and I'm gonna deal with this issue." Yeah. Instead of just saying, "Well, you know, kids will be kids." Kids are not kids.
No, you can't do that.
They are not kids. That's why we call them kids. Yeah. And as long as you're an adult, they will always be under you. Yeah. See, they will never rise above you. I don't care what age they is. I have 30-year-olds in my family. Sure. 30-year-old kids in my kids. Yeah. And they can't tell me nothing. You know, and I'm telling you, you say, "Oh no, they 30 years old. Oh no, they 21 years old. Oh no, they 18. Boo that. Long as I'm an age that's always above them, they can't say nothing to me. Now you let your kids have their opinion, let them live their life, whatever. So you do that. But the thing about the bottom line, you cannot out-talk me. And that's where the conflict. Either my kids will stay away from me because you can't out-talk me. Yeah.
See, the thing is, when you're saying that from a spiritual aspect, the parent, they are further in the journey where the kid is not. So, in other words, we see you coming. We see the journey because we're here. And we can see when you get distracted. You can't see it because you never been through the journey. So that's what makes the difference. You know, where as long as you're alive, you're going to and you stay on track, you're going to always be ahead in that sense. Because we know the journey, we see the journey, and we see them coming.
And the thing about this, Pastor, you don't know you're sick until we announce to you you're sick. Yeah. Because you are in a cloud of deception. And you have to be notarized. Say, wait a minute, baby, what you're saying is, what you're thinking is off. Yeah. Your thinking is off. And then you will say, no, nothing's wrong with me. Oh, yeah, your thinking is off. If I'm going by what the word said, and you're not going by what the word said, your thinking is off.
Sure.
Now, I don't care what everybody said, well, that's the Old Testament, that's what them people know. No, this word is over 2,000 years old, and it have not changed. This word is so strong, it deals with every condition, every answer that you need, everything you need. This word is not going to change because you feel this is 2019, and you say, oh, 2009. No, this word is not going to change. And I'm not going to glorify you or make excuses for you or pacify you because you don't want to live up to what God said. Sure. And that's what people did, make excuses for. Well, I'm just not like that. No, what you're trying to say is tell me that you have not grown up yet. Yeah. See, everybody say, well, you know, everybody not made alike. Well, all God's children made alike because he said we all in the same image. Yeah. So all of God's kids are alike. So you can't tell me, well, everybody got to take their journey. Not us. Yeah. Our journey is the word of God. For you to keep on saying that, well, it's going to take us time to get there. No, it don't. Yeah. No, it don't. It don't take us time to get there because once we are born again, God said, you become like me.
See, you're saying journey, and that's powerful. See, in other words, if you know you're supposed to get to Mississippi, why would you be going north? Yeah. Mississippi is south. So there's no such thing as, well, I got to get there. No. There's only one way to Mississippi. It's south, not north.
And if you delay it, it's because you are resisting what God got for your life. Yeah. Every seed that you have sown only takes 45 to 90 days. If you are sitting up here have not gotten what you asked God to get, it's your persistence of what God told you to do. Yeah. Ain't nowhere in the world you should be in 10 years and asking God the same old question you've been asking God for 10 years. Yeah. That means that you have not obeyed God when he gave you instruction, have not did what God told you to do, because every seed take 45 to 90 days. Yeah. And when 45 to 90 days up, and you don't see no bug, you don't see no evidence of that, that means you have not done something right. Because it ain't God that's not on time. Because God's schedule is always on time. Now, and that's what faith is always.
Now she's saying that 90 days, and I'll put that in a natural sense. 90 days is 3 months. Now in the natural sense, there are 4 seasons. 3 months. 4 different seasons. You know. So that's all it takes, maximum 3 months, even in the natural, to see some result of something. And what happens in the natural is only a replica of what's happening in the spirit. So maximum should be 90 days of seeing some type of manifestation of something, because that's a season. Yeah. Summer season is not supposed to be spring. It's not supposed to be fall, winter. It's different seasons. So that's where, when she's even saying that 90 days max, that's a season. That's a season. Even in the earth realm. Okay. Now let me say this, and we're going to kind of move on. And I wrote this down. If there ever was a time for Christian parents to be spiritual minded and being spiritually led to discern, that would be now. Yeah. Because that's going to be very vital. Back to that, how you deal with your teenagers, especially sexual behavior, the peer pressure, and you can't be afraid. Yeah. You know, sometimes you have some parents, especially now, you know, I don't let my kids, or you have some kids, and they get mad, go in their room and shut their door. What is all of that? You know, you can't. Like I said, you give them some level. Now, I know some of the young people don't, when they're growing up, they don't want to hear that. But we know that all changes when their time comes around to be a parent. Because I've already gotten a few apologies from one of my sons already. Because what you thought was whatever, now you're living it. And how do I deal with it now? You know, so we understand how younger people can think now until that time comes with them.
Like, why? Yeah, now you know why.
Yeah, but really, and I mean, if there was ever time for Christians to be spiritual minded and discern now, because there are some things you may not be able to see in the natural. You're going to have to discern some things. You know, it's just the same as, and let's just say an example. You mentioned about the basketball thing. It could be any, and we're not coming against things. Don't misunderstand me. But you have to know how to discern, like, no, that's not the right thing. Because if this person get involved in that, there's a certain spirit that can attach themselves, even when they may not can see it.
And even with the internet, Pastor, even with the internet, with the followers, you know, the followers is very strong now. Yeah. You could be following somebody to hell. Yeah. You know, you follow all these. I want this amount of follow. I want all like, and all that stuff. But then you are setting yourself up.
And then you keep doing. See, this is where you get. See, once again, there are technology and things that we should use for the good, and like anything else, the devil perverts it and twists it. And you've got to be careful when you start taking on things, looking at everything. You know, there's somewhat what we learn in the business world and advertising, subliminal messages. You know, I remember, this is before I got saved, so don't judge me. I remember looking at, some of y'all know who Harry Carey was. He was the White Sox and Cubs announcer. And I look at a commercial, Harry Carey with that beer. And that thing will strike me right there. All of a sudden, I want a beer. Don't judge me. But see, subliminal messages. There's a reason you go out to certain places and you smell donuts. Oh, I want donuts. You smell this. It's a subliminal message to try to get you. That's what advertising is all about, to try to get you to buy in it whatever it is they're selling. And from a spiritual standpoint, that's what the devil does. See, we got to be careful with a lot of social media, and then this pops up, you see that. See, there's spirits behind that stuff. And then you enter talking with everybody, my 5,000 friends, and then they send you something, and that thing is a subliminal message. Yeah. And you might think it's all right. Oh, that was funny, that was cute, that was all right. It's a subliminal message, and the enemy be behind a lot of that stuff, and he plants those seeds. You may not see results this week, or next week, but sooner or later, those things start planting and starts changing your thinking, and certain things start becoming acceptable. And then before you know it, you turn into something different. You got to be really careful.
Pastor, Proverbs 4 and verse 14. And it said, do not enter the path of the wicked, and do not walk in the way of evil. Avoid it, do not travel on it. Turn away from it and pass on. For they do not sleep until they have done evil. And their sleep is taken away unless they make someone fall. Now reading this, you just assuming that you just read it. Like, okay, avoid things. But really, it's 4 different spirits in here. Yeah. 4 different spirits that do not enter. Enter is a spirit. Enter is a door of opportunity. In other words, don't enter that door of opportunity. Now, this is what the devil does. He knows what you're looking for. He knows what your desire. But when you enter to that door of opportunity could be something that, oh my God, I've been wanting this for a while. Oh, this door of opportunity, I got to get it. And you get anxious. And the Bible said, do not become anxious for anything. Yeah. The Bible said, because in other words, when you get too anxious, you're going to mess up. And the Bible said, if you get too anxious, you're going to stumble. In the name of Jesus, according to the word of God. Then another spirit is do not walk in the way of evil. Walk is emotion. Walking is emotion. I'm walking by my flesh. I'm walking by how I feel. I'm walking by how it looks. And that's a spirit. So in other words, it said, do not enter, that means door up to, do not walk in the way, that means that that's a spirit. Then the other one is do not travel. Travel is follower. That's a spirit. Follow the internet, following people, following whatever they do. You don't have a mind of your own. Everything somebody tell you, you do it. You a follower. That is a spirit. Then it says the next one is a pass. It said turn away from it and pass on. Passing is a spirit. In other words, that spirit can pass you by and you become what that spirit passed by. Because what happened is, when a spirit enters one person, it has to find another domain to enter into. In other words, when that spirit come out of one man, that evil spirit come out, it's going somewhere else. And if you have the door of opportunity open for that spirit, it will come inside you. And that's what we talked about, Pastor. You said that you doing things you thought you weren't going to do because I'm in a world. How I get here? Because a spirit passed by me, and I was weak, and I was vulnerable. And I was in my right mind. And that spirit that came out of one, we know that spirit came when Jesus had did the man with the one, how many demonic spirit, and the spirit came out of that man and went into the pig. Yeah. It's the passing of the spirit. It leaves one area and go in another. I was at Pastor Bill Winston church, and it was I forgot the man. I'm looking at his face. He was a known pastor. He said, it's the spirit of cancer is trying to get somebody. In other words, cancer came out of one person, and now it's seeking who can go into another person. It's a passing of the spirit. So in other words, when he said, do not enter the path of the wicked, and do not walk in the way of evil, avoid it, do not travel on it, turn away from it, pass by. He's giving you, these are the 4 different spirits that you should try to avoid. And everybody just look at it like, it ain't no big deal. No, these are spirits that you should try to avoid. Because these spirits are on earth. And if we are love to say, oh, opportunity came along. What opportunity came along? When the opportunity comes along, that's not the word of God. It's here to rob you, steal from you, and to kill your destiny. In other words, it will stop you on your track. And I've been wanting this for a long time. Oh, I'm just coming along. No, stop. Hold your rowboat. Ask God, should you do this?
Sure.
Don't jump on every opportunity that somebody tell you and say, oh, you know what, man, they're going to take it for 9 days. You can handle this. No. Wait a minute now. Ask God, should I do this?
Sure.
Before I just do something.
Sure. Absolutely. So I know we said a mouthful, but this is how you deal with it, you know. I was telling someone the other day, without turning this into a total spiritual thing, you even have to be careful and mindful, especially you and I, we do a lot of traveling. And even when you stay in certain hotels, in certain places, certain rooms, you need to pray. Because you don't know what was in there. Before you got there.
That's true.
Praise the Lord. And then all of a sudden you don't know what's happening to you, and you start getting,
we know somebody that did that. They indicated that this was a prayer room. And I'd never been there, but what I was told, that they had prayer names on all the rooms, like Matthew, Mark, and Luke on each room. And they went there for rest. But it wasn't a place of rest because what I was told, that every woman that went there got divorced. And their marriage got messed up. And they was telling me, like, don't ever go there, Pastor Lord, because I'm telling you, you're going to get messed up. But see, it's a look of things, but it's a look to lure you in. And you have no idea what you're getting yourself involved in, because it looked like it's a way.
There's a way that seems right.
But in the end, it's the result of things. So you have to ask God, should I go or should I stay?
Sure.
Should I talk or should I whatever? Because the thing about this, everything is trying to pull at you. And if you're not careful, you'll be in an area that you thought you would never be in.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Okay. All right, we'll open this up for Q&A. Once again, those of you, if you have a question on how do you deal with whatever it is, fill out the information. Hopefully we can get it to you before the broadcast is over. So those of you who have a question, come on, bring them on up. The microphone is up here too.
Amen.
All right.
So the first question is, how do you deal with, like, if your child, like, they start in a new school, but they just have a shy personality, and you just need them to become more outgoing and gain confidence, like to talk to people, meet, like, how do you kind of pull that out without doing too much damage where, you know, you pushing them to do things, but how do you kind of get them to be more outgoing, or, you know?
It depends on how old the child is?
It's like school age, like, you know, 7, 8.
Okay. Well, really, that's why it's important for children to interact. You know, thank God, that's even one of the purposes of church. You know, and if we're saying a child, that you have some adults who are antisocial. And you learn a lot of things in church. That's how it always was, especially in our culture. You know, many years ago, slaves, they learned how to read in church. You know, so even when it comes to interacting, you learn that. You know, and with the child, you know, because sometimes you could be naturally shy and shy is only a result of you don't want to seem vulnerable. I'm not going to say it's always insecurity all the time, but you're just kind of shy, and that eventually you grow out of that. Usually.
One thing that that the schools have done is that I know when you're in kindergarten, they ask you to share. Share is a way of coming out of yourself. You know, like share your lunch or share a pen. And then when you teach a kid how to share, that break them out of kind of the shyness, because you are forced to talk to somebody. You are forced to, you know, interact with somebody. And one thing we teach our kids to share, you know, share your book with them, or share, you know, share your lunch with them, you know, or share, you know, because that break that I want to be by myself. I don't want nobody talking to me.
While you're saying it, while I'm thinking, once again, we got to be careful with social media. I think texting a lot of stuff has hurt our communication skills. See, texting to me is like the microwave. It's not there to replace the oven. Now, depending on who you are, where you are, you can do something quickly. But we've got to be careful where it doesn't replace communication skills. And so we're just used to texting each other. Then when we get in front, like you saying, now we shy and we don't know, we only got 3 or 4 sentences to say.
Or you can't spell.
Well, that too. Now, those who get texts from me, you know it's the whole words. Friday, Friday. It ain't no how are you. Go ahead.
Okay, so my second question is, I know we kind of, this is not on the how to deal with it series, but so, you know, generally when you have preached about if both spouses are contributing financially to the house, then share responsibilities, as far as like, you know, the upkeep of the house. But what if the husband is doing the financial upkeep of the house? So now does the house upkeep go on the wife? But they both work, but just the husband is taking care of the home.
What do you mean?
So, you know, like if I was a stay-at-home mother and my husband is working, and so it's expected for me to take care of the home, like cleaning and whatever. But if we both work, yet he still does all the bills and everything financially, is it still expected of the wife to handle the home, even though she's working too, but not contributing financially?
Okay, so you're saying you got a husband and wife who both are working.
Right.
And as far as the financial aspect of the house, the wife's income plays no bearing at all.
Right.
So the husband, he's financially taking everything from A to Z. And should the wife still do things at the house?
I mean, no. I mean, is it the primary responsibility? Like, I mean, to do that, because I mean, because you're exchanging time for money if she's, you know, at home. But if both parties work, I mean, you could still have to feel the. Well, I'm tired too. You know, like what
should be discussed, because initially, and this is biblical, initially, the male is the provider.
So that's not.
That was in the very beginning with Adam. Before even Eve was manifested, God gave him a job. Didn't God, I want you to manage this first. So he was already the initial provider first. He didn't need Eve to sell cookies. That's biblical. That's family foundation. Now, I know we've altered it, but that's basic. That's in the very beginning. You know, it was set. He had everything set before she came out of his side. All right. So now, so if it's a case like that where both people are working and the husband is from A to Z, whatever, then the question, then it has a right in the sense of, okay, our home is being neglected.
But Pastor, I think it's the fact that even though the man.
Or if she don't want to do it, if she working, then hire a maid then.
Right, I understand. But what I'm saying is that if we're both working, it'd be different if he did not need my money.
She's saying he doesn't.
If he don't need my money and I can stay at home, then they give me more time to clean the house. But if I'm gone from 9 to 5, and I come home, and you go from 9 to 5, and you come home, then we pick a Saturday to really clean the house up. Because we both, because
but see, I understand that thought. Because now I mentioned about Genesis, now let's get into Proverbs 31. That's a wife, you know, who's doing this and doing that, which more or less she ain't just confined to the home. If you want to modernize it, she could be out doing the shopping, getting the deals, getting this, to make sure the home is whatever. You know. So that's, that's work in itself. But now, so if you've got both husband and wife and at work, and then both of those incomes are needed, then of course, then you've got to work some out and split the house duties and different things, and who's able to do this better or work, and however it works. But if that's not the case, then we need to talk where, okay, and maybe you just, if I don't need your money, you just work because you enjoy it and want to do it, and that's that. Maybe it's a career you want to do it. You know, no problem with that. But then the home should not be neglected. So then so something has got to give somewhere. So if we're just talking about cleaning and different things like that, and you still kind of want to hold on to, then you need to hire a maid and maybe a cook, perhaps, if that's agreed upon. Are you
saying that I need to hire
no.
we need to hire?
No, it's no we. There is no we.
Because you looking at me like you need to hire
Yeah. Because you've chosen to not want to do certain things in the home, so you want to be in the marketplace. I don't need you to be in the marketplace, according to our question, because I got it all covered.
So in other words, you said that since you pay the bills in the house.
No, let's don't limit it to the bills. No. We gotta say it all. We ain't talking. See, that's and what you're saying is valid. Because people get into a thing of, because I used to do that to you 30 years ago. I paid you like I lived. I'm going to pay it anyway. We ain't talking about just paying bills. We talking about taking care of the whole thing, including you. We ain't talking about just bill paying. You know, to me, that never was a big deal. You make the bills, you pay them. That's not it. We talking about one providing for the whole household. From the rent to the stockings. That's the initial provision in Genesis. So now if that's done, obviously you are not working to get your head in. You're just working because you want to. That's what we're talking about. So let's don't cross hairs with just bills. That was never designed just that alone. All right? So now if that's the case, then that's why I say, well, if you choose to want to stay in the marketplace, then and that's the dish is getting dusty, you need to hire a maid then.
I guess so, you know, about my stocking for me.
See how that changed the dynamic? See, because your mind was thinking you still buying your own stocking. That's not what we're saying. I hope that kind of helps some. I can't hear you.
So I have two questions, Apostle. One is covering what you guys were talking about as parents. So knowing that your parents have age over you and the experience over you, but they're not a Christian. So now, of course, you're gearing to your spiritual parents and the advice of the spiritual parents. How do you address your actual parents when they make comments like, you don't listen to me, or you just want to do your own thing, without being disrespectful because you have a different way of living? So you don't really want to base your lifestyle on theirs. Not saying that you're disregarding their experience or their age, but how do you address that without them getting offended?
Yeah. Well, in a case like that, like I said, you don't ever have to be disrespectful. even if you disagree. That doesn't mean you have to be disrespectful, especially to your parent. And if you are a Christian and in the Word and they're not, they can't help but to just say what they think. You know, it's not that they're trying to be rude. I mean, this is all they know. And your thinking and learning is now on a spiritual level now. So they could say certain things, and like I say, you don't be disrespectful. And they say, well, you know, listen. You say, well, I mean, you know, my dad, you know, if they know you're a Christian, I don't know if they professing to be one or not. And you say, well, I'm just trying to live according to what the Bible says, you know. And if they say something, sometimes you just ignore it. And that's kind of that, you know. And yeah, because you never have to be disrespectful, you know. But on the same token, we're never going to do anything. We're not going to obey. We're not going to obey something that's against the word. At no cost, we're going to do that. But then sometimes there's just a way of doing something, you know. Now you saying a parent be a non-believer. Sometimes you could have your parent who is a Christian, they just ain't spiritual minded. And you know, you can differ on doctrine and stuff, and they like, well, our church, we don't. And once again, you use wisdom, and you don't say nothing. You know, and sometimes, and that's where it does become disrespectful. If you are more spiritual than your parent, and then you try to say, well, mom and daddy, you know, you got to be careful. Now you're being disrespectful. Can't do that. You know, you just don't say anything. That's all. You know, and they could be on, and they could be talking on being colonel and saying how sick they are and how they whatever, and then you try to say, Mama, don't say that, Daddy, don't say that, that's fake. And they say, I know what I feel. You just shut up. Don't you say anything. You just sit there. You just don't say, I know what you mean. You just don't say anything. They can keep sitting there saying how sick they are, how broke they are, and you just sit there. Because you don't be disrespectful under no circumstance. Now, once again, if you're led by the Spirit can give you wisdom, and the Spirit can say, you know what, say this to them. Then you do that. But just in general, you don't say anything.
Because I'm glad you brought that up. That goes into my next question. But with the being silent as well, they find it disrespectful. And I'm like, I'm not going to be disrespectful, you know, but then I'm not going to say anything. Mm-hmm. And it's just the flesh rises even more. And then, like, you know, they want you to respond, knowing that it's the principality, it's the flesh, you know, it's not the person. But just even in that, feeling disrespected because you're not responding the way they want to respond. So I'm glad you did cover that.
And then sometimes you can get you know, I think I've said this before. One of the things I learned from Ronald Reagan, president from 80 to 88, they would ask him questions, and when he didn't want to answer, he wasn't rude like what we have now. He'd just go, ah. He didn't say nothing. And it just looked like, huh? And sometimes you just go, and don't say nothing. That was a response, it just.
I get it. So my next question is about, since you talked about being a Christian but not being spiritual. So how do you deal with that when you have two spouses that are Christians and one is not spiritual, and their carnality is affecting the other person and the household and the children, because of course it spills over, and their interactions, and they start getting worn out or really just gearing to the flesh, even when you try to hold them accountable to it. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. One of the things, and I do believe this, sometimes we could think in a marriage that you shouldn't get counseling until, there's some natural problem or something. But sometimes, this is the way any marriage, especially if you got two Christians, and then if the spirituality is a little unbalanced, sometimes you may have to get counseling on that. See, because sometimes there are certain situations where you're not going to be the laborer to your spouse. Because if you say something, they get mad. And sometimes it may take another voice to tell them that. You know, and sometimes you may have to get some little counseling, and sometimes, like, especially if one is doing something that is starting to cause problems, you know, you got to address that and deal with that. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I really address that because a spiritual problem is worse than a flesh problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Because a spiritual problem, saying you're dealing with the root of something. And all you're doing with the flesh is dealing with the symptoms. So in other words, you're dealing with the symptoms and you have not gotten to the root of it. In other words, let's figure out why are you thinking this way? Or why you believe this way? Why are you acting this way? Because other than that, you are just attacking each other emotions. You're just attacking emotions. I don't feel the way. I don't feel. No. Let's figure out why you're thinking this way. Why won't you accept this title of a husband? Why won't you accept this title as a wife? You know, why you not leading me instead of me leading you? Yes. There's something wrong with I'm leading you and you not leading me. When you the husband, you're supposed to lead me and I'm leading you. There's something wrong with that picture. So in other words, you do have to get to a spiritual counselor, in other words, because I'm not putting it so much on the man, but God did speak to the man and gave him the word to how to have the household. And if you're not leading this household is full of music, does not say, this household full of drinking, does not say, this household full of smoking, does not say, and you say I go to church every Sunday, but then you're not addressing these issues when I'm trying to live a holy life in this house.
Yeah. I was telling about it. You start. See, remember, I think we said this earlier. It's best to detect something early before it turns. And sometimes I've seen people because people don't like confrontation. But you're never going to get an answer if you don't address something. And things don't just dissolve. It's what we used to call sweeping stuff under the rug. It's still there. And most time that little dust now is turned into a big pile and it gets worse. You know, when something is not right, address it. Because it can turn into something more. Like I said, you know that with your human body. When you start feeling something is not right, remember, pain in your body is an indicator that something is not right. That's why you got to be careful when people get caught up in the painkillers and pain pills. Pain indicates to your body something is not right. So it's the same thing, you know, if something's not right, it needs to be addressed because it'll turn into something else. And it's best to address things early on instead of it dragging on, you know, because, and this is with men and women. We used to think it's just women, it's with men too. See, when you start letting too many things slide, you don't forget it. See, we can play this mental game with ourselves like, well, it don't really matter. It does. And subconsciously, those things are building up. And if you don't deal with it, eventually an eruption happens. Then the person explodes, and then the other person looking like, where did this come from? You know, and all of a sudden, in 5 minutes, they're getting 5 years of anger. So instead of, I know what I'm talking about, instead of hiding stuff and not dealing with it, you know, you deal with it now. Then until it grows, because every seed grows. Every seed grows. It does not die, it grows. All right?
All right. I don't know if I have a question or a statement. I don't know, but it's a theme there. So what I hear basically with questions and how they're phrased and how they're answered, I think it's two different ways depending on how the question is maybe asked and how it's answered biblically. But speaking realistically, with marriage and expectations, because we had these conversations married couples or unmarried couples. Now, if biblically the man is a provider, he's expected to provide, protect, take care of the wife, right? Biblically, Proverbs 31 woman, she does blase, skip, X, take care or whatever. Now, in our day and age, it may not necessarily line up to a T, because now women are in the workforce more often. They may carry their own load before you get married. Now, I'm not saying, you know, now if we got the money and I'm taking care of everything that you need, yeah, that's fine. But if we come in knowing like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm providing, I'm doing blase skip, now we both working, which is fine too. We both sharing that load. Is there, now I don't know fellas if this is just for the guys, is there a difference between the expectation of a guy and the expectation of a female? Because what I hear sometimes with women, and I love the women, but I need you and I expect this, right? But then if I say, oh, I need you and I expect this, what? You supposed to be blase, you know, skip whop the bam, you know, and I'm all for that. So, and I can understand coming, my ancestors are cavemen, so it's like, well, I pay the bills, so I understand that. But then the modern man, you know, I understand I may pay the bills, but we work the same. So I may, for example, clean 37 diapers. This is just, you know, example, but I'm just saying. But then it's like, all right, hey, you know, you want to clean up that microwave? What? You know, but there's an expectation for a male. But I feel like because there's a modern woman, the expectations that we're used to, which I understand they vary, and I'm not saying that it has to be a tit for tat, but can you say as a male, it's almost like the Me Too thing. It's like, you know, I don't want to touch, you know what I mean? We got to tiptoe around it, but it's like we're expected to do certain things, but it can't be an expectation for the women. It has to be, well, could you or would you? How would you react to that? Or what's the modern way? Because the questions are asked and they're answered biblically if they were in a perfect world. And then there's like, oh yeah, all right, but we're not perfect over here. You know what I mean? How does that work for both sides, not just males? Yeah. So
see, the thing is, when neither one really understands their role, that's where we have the problem at. You know, and I understand how it could seem like, you know, the man is expected this and not much. It just depends how you view it. But it really gets into everybody understanding their role. And that could be, that's with anything. You know, whether it's a job, a company, anything, when everybody understands their role, then everything can flow. But if a person don't understand their role.
Let me set this part for the women. You know, when I feel safe, and I feel secure, I would do anything for my man.
Sure.
In other words, if I had to work 10 hours a day and I know he needs something done, I would work my 10 hours a day and I'll come home and handle it too. So it's only based on my safety, because I've been on both sides. In other words, I can get an attitude, I ain't doing nothing. You know, I mean, I can get that too. I'm not doing, and I have done that. I mean, I have done that. I mean, he has some dirty clothes. He be just dirty for years.
Not years.
Oh, it be dirty. And then, you know, and so I played both roles. In other words, I played both sides where, and it's not so much if I had a job. It's a matter of I'm with these kids all day long, and then you walk in here saying like you haven't done nothing all day, like you haven't seen what me do. I know you wasn't here, but I was here. And so I get it, and I understand that, but I do know this because women are, they love taking care of stuff. You rarely find a woman that do not like taking care of stuff. And I'm talking about, you know, just want stuff done in house, because the house is a reflection of the woman. It's not a reflection of the man.
You're right.
Nobody look at the man and say, oh my God, you ain't done nothing. They look at the woman like, oh, you're so lazy, you ain't did nothing.
It's true.
They put all the pressure on the woman, whether the woman been gone for 10 years. They still look, oh my God, you ain't did nothing. And that has been all the attack. But the case of it too, when a woman feels safe, this is my opinion, 2019, and when a woman feels safe and secure, I can handle me and you. In the sense of I can work all day and I have things to do, and now you know I'm gonna come in because I know that you've been. I know I can see this just like you can. I see the microwave not clean like you can. I know this needs to be done. So it ain't like that. I don't want to do it. I just haven't had time to do it, but I will do it if it bothers you.
Okay, and that's fine too. So I understand that, and this is not like a. It's more so like, all right, that's good. What you're saying is good. That's appreciative. And what if you do have that man that you do feel protected? So I'm just playing the advocate, you know what I mean? Because we get that one side and then we're like, all right, say it, man, say it, you know. But what if you get that, and I'm saying, for example, and I'm not saying this to anybody, but what if you do got that man to be like, all right, okay, I clean the microwave. We both doing the same thing. What if that woman just don't want to do it? Or that male just don't want to do it? And going back to Apostle's point, what if the roles are defined? Now, you said at first, you're saying the roles weren't defined as what? What if we know our roles, but I understand we may not get them perfectly, but there should be some type of consistency on the male's part or the female's part. Just like if the male is supposed to pay, if the husband is paying the mortgage, you can't not pay the mortgage to buy some Jordans. Right. And do that 6 times. So it's not just a male or female thing. So what if we know our roles, but then it's just like, I know I should probably do it, but I'm tired. Yeah. Consistently tired. So what if you have that? Because that's what I see. And unfortunately, a lot of younger marriages are being divorced because of these type of problems, because we go in thinking these expectations, or we know what they are, but because I don't want to say the rules are a little bit different. Things are a little different. I mean, the rules don't change, but the way things are handled are a little bit different. So how do you handle that? See, when we say rules, we've adjusted. We've changed. This has never changed. We've changed. We've allowed society to mold us, and that's a huge mistake. Now, the thing is, if we both know what our roles is as husband and wives, and I'm just not going to do it and all of this. Now I'm rebelling, and that is going to be a problem.
Or you marry a lazy person.
Well,
Mike.
Okay. Well, now it goes into the question, did you had no idea?
I had no idea she don't like doing nothing.
How you not know?
Because I never lived with her. Once I lived with her, I recognized she don't do nothing. What do you do when you didn't know that she don't wash her own dishes? What do you not know that she don't sweep her own floor? Well, you did not know that she just lived day to day and not living and planning in nothing in the thing.
Do she got a car?
Yes, she got a car.
How a car look? See, and maybe I'm talking from an older guy. There are ways you can work around the facade, that you can kind of know little things behind closed doors.
I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying. Little things. No, I hear what you're saying. Just little. No. Well, that's why you don't be marrying nobody you just met. But over a certain period of time, you can kind of you can get independent. But then again, depending on the type of person you are. See, because if you got dirty dishes in your house too, you ain't gonna be able to detect that oh, maybe they do. You ain't gonna be able to detect that, because that's how you are too. A clean person can detect dirtiness. Because you keep talking to a person after a certain point, after the little facade, because everybody put on 15 minutes of phoniness. See, a lot of people, they get married at minute 14. Keep talking, and if you a certain way, you will feel either a connection or a disconnection.
So in other words, you marry who you are.
Unless you rebelling.
So you marry who you are.
Yeah, unless you rebelling, because there are people who know who they are and they rebelled and married a Canaanite.
Okay. Okay.
There it is. Okay, I have sort of like a two-part question. So how do you deal with family and friends that call you and like they complain about certain things? So because you're like I'm a pretty understanding person, so they call me and they'll complain about it, and then you'll have a solution and you'll tell them like, hey, you know, why don't you do this? Like say if they have an issue on their job with someone, and then you're like, well, why don't you talk to the person? And, you know, talk to them and tell them that this bothered you. And then they're like, and they're not really like a, confrontational person. But, I mean, I am, like, sometimes I confront too much. But, so I'm a very confrontational person, and they're not. So it's like they're calling you to complain, and it's just like, so what did you call me for? Like, did you want to get a solution, or you just want to complain? So, I mean, how do you deal with that without you getting too like stressed out, because it's like, okay, you're constantly complaining to me, but you're not doing anything about it. And so to go along with that is how do you, I guess it's like people who come to you for help, but they don't want to receive your help. So it's like, how do you deal with that without you getting stressed out, where it's like, well, I don't want to help you now, without being so, I guess, insensitive to their emotions.
Yeah, with people, you know, if they start complaining and then you tell them what they need to do and then they don't, then you kind of like, you know, this is up to you. You know, you tell the person, this is up to you. If you want to change something, you're going to have to do this. And then every time they keep saying it, you say, this is up to you. You're the only one that can change this.
But sometimes people call you to let off their mess.
Sure.
They don't want no solution. They just want to throw that garbage to you, so you can feel it, and then they release. They're like, oh, now I'm released. And so they don't want no help. This is on a sounding board, or just to throw something out to somebody to get their relief. But they don't want no help, because if you call them for help, then you'll receive it. But if you're not calling for help, you just want to throw that stuff on me, and then you get stressed out, you get worried, you up there complaining to mama, and then you wonder why that person still standing with that person or still going through. Because if you're still going through with them after you just told me what happened, you don't want no help. Because if you coming to me with a problem, I'm giving you the answer, and you still staying there, you didn't want no help. So in other words, they just want to throw that garbage on you. They want to throw all that mess on you, and then you looking at the person sideways, or you looking at this and no.
Never do that. See, because after a certain point, you'll know when a person, whatever, then they keep coming and telling you something, and then you just tell them, I don't know what else to tell you. That's a way without them really getting mad, because the scripture tells us, don't be casting pearls before swine. There's a certain point where you have to stop giving wisdom to fools. And that's what it means. You're casting pearls, something of value, to pigs. You know, so there's a certain point where you done told them what they still whatever, and you just tell them, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. And what else they gonna say? They say, you know, so and so. What? I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, then what if they say like, oh, they don't like that response? So would I just like not answer the phone? Like,
no. You just say, I don't know what else to tell you.
Okay.
How much digging they gonna give you when you like, I don't know?
That's true. Okay.
You know, because you've already told them and they didn't do it, so you're not lying. I don't know what else to tell you. And you just say, I don't know what to tell you. All right. There's a couple online questions. How do you deal with it when you notice infamous, obviously, or homosexual tendencies in your young child? And we kind of hit on that earlier. Depending on how old they are, like I said, as you be spiritual, you pray, rebuke that spirit and everything else. And this is why I said before, if there was ever time to be spiritual, it would really be now. And you have to, one of the things you have to do when you know these things, look over your own life. You know, you know where you were in certain things. And remember, the devil, he doesn't know, he can only deal with the past. And some of us who are older, we know what we've been through, and we know what some of our family been through. And that spirit will try to go to that next generation, even in a worse way. That's why when you have someone who, and thank God, you know, we can get forgiven and born again and all of that. And you are, but those spirits still linger on. That would be just like if there was a lust spirit in my family, that lust doesn't just mean all males are womanizers. That thing can turn into homosexuality and all sorts of crazy stuff. You know, so you have to always be mindful of all of that too.
And then I'll add this, Pastor. You know, even though you rebuke that spirit, that is a spirit.
Yeah.
But you also have to keep an open mind and ask the kid all the time, what are you thinking? Because the devil is messing with her mind or her mind. And you got to keep that mind, what are you thinking? Because the devil could tell you that, you know, I know what I feel. I know what you think you feel. And you got to keep that communication open and saying, talk about what's on their mind, because that's what he attacking. He attacking their mind. Yeah. And he attacking their mind, and you got to say, well, that's not the correct way of thinking. Right. And I know how you feel, but that's not correct. And you got to keep on saying, that's not the correct way of thinking. Right. Because if you just think that rebuking the spirit is going to leave it alone, right, yeah, you rebuke the spirit, but you got to keep that communication open and keep on talking about it, yeah, and we can talk through these emotions so we can see why you feel this way or why you feel safe to think you can investigate this, yeah, and it's not nothing that's feel. You can't investigate. Don't try it. Don't play with it. Don't think you can handle it. No, you cannot handle it.
That's why it's important to know who are your kids' friends.
Yeah, yeah.
It ain't no just stuff. That's why you gotta be. Now I'm gonna say something, and I know I'm publicly saying it, but that's what I'm here for. And now people could think, oh, you invading on people's space. If you suspicious of something, and especially you're a parent, your child's phone, you paying it, you may have to look and see. I ain't say you got to tell them all the time. You may have to look and see. Who are they talking to? And don't let no guilt stuff. You know, you see, this thing is for real. The devil is out to kill us. Yeah. Yeah. Better deal with it now than it's too late. And yes, your child has the ability to lie. Children lie. Yes, they do. I know their faces is innocent, and a tear may drop, but they have the ability to lie. No, Mama, I ain't. Yeah. See, don't buy into all that either. All right. So you know who their friends are. No, friend, and there's some relatives they can't go over.
You got to guard your child.
Guard them.
You got to guard till they come into their right mind. They're not in their right mind right now. And I don't care how emotional what they say they are. I don't care. You're not in your right mind. This is not the thing that you're supposed. You are a female or a male. You supposed to have the opposite sex, not the same sex. Yeah. And I know everybody say, no, that's you're not in your right mind. Yeah. Yeah. You cannot be in your right mind and think like that. Yeah.
But then she's saying that, but that goes with anything too, because you can have desire to want to have sex, period. See, you've got to get a hold on all of that.
Or your friend might tell you that when you have not had sex yet, you haven't had sex yet, you old. You have to have sex by 9 or 10 years old. You ain't old. You not be having no sex until 9, 10 years old. You supposed to wait till you get married. I know we don't believe that no more. It's Easter time finna come up. Wait till you get married.
Yeah. See, that's
I have to say it because the blood is against it.
Yeah, that's why we said earlier. One of the key things is, what did we say? You lead by example. See, you know, with all of our lives, it's bigger than us, especially when you still have children. And you got to be careful. See, because if you violating the scripture, because you grown, you bringing that spirit to your house. They don't have to see you. You don't see spirits no way. See, this is why I said this earlier. The best way to lead is by example. See, because you older and I'm this or that and I'm mature enough to whatever, it's a spirit you still bringing to your child. See, and if we can accept that maybe that's a whole different lesson on something.
Yeah. It's just like
exactly.
Chickenpox, the chickenpox spirit lasts for 2 weeks in your house.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't show up 2 weeks later somebody got chickenpox.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fair. Because it's a spirit.
Yeah.
That chickenpox, it's a disease or any kind of sickness and stuff, it lingers.
Yeah.
Just like when you cough, there's a spirit that you ain't coughing yet, but tomorrow you might start coughing. Because somebody coughed in your presence. So in other words, don't sit here, don't be so naive. And this is where the devil has deceived a lot of people, that it ain't going to happen to you.
Yeah.
It can't happen to you. Don't be naive, little chicken.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, you've got to really pay attention.
Yeah.
Like I say, let's don't throw out foundations. It doesn't matter if it's 2019 or if it was 1939.
Yeah.
It's foundations. You know, and pay attention.
And don't leave it to a kid to
know. No, right, don't.
Well, you know, she know better. How she know better?
If she know better,
she wouldn't have done it. Or he would have done it. Well, I told him, well, you wasn't teaching well enough. And we got, you know, and I'm saying that because I have been through it with a lot of kids, and even my own thing about what I did. I know what I did right. The thing about this is the influence of others. And if they listen to them, then that's when you get off.
Yeah. You have to guard them. And do whatever. Not in the sense of where it becomes bondage or nothing, but hey, you're the parent, and you're protecting them.
And I think, Pastor, you know what? If people take parenthood seriously, everybody would be having babies.
Well, that too. That too.
If you thought about what you was getting yourself, you wouldn't be popping up having all these kids.
Sure.
And then said, well, let society raise them.
Yeah. So, sure. Let's read this other one. How do you encourage a teen? How to stay focused when their parent is the bad or negative influence? The parents are not saved and know nothing about strongholds or generational curses. For example, the parent encourages the child to take a drink for the first time or smoke with them. That is tough. We've seen that over the last 20-some years. And you just keep doing what you're doing. Try to encourage the kid to stay focused. You know,
she's saying that she's a kid and the parent not saved.
Right,
in other
right.
words,
I guess the question whoever is asking, how do you encourage a teen how to stay focused when their parent is...
Right, but see, the thing about this, you have to know that it ain't right, and I don't care what the parents, I'm not going to do it.
I
have had a kid call me because I was part of a brotherhood, sisterhood, and I told my kids that they could not have sex. So when the kid got, I think when prom time was coming up, and the mother said, take these birth control pills because I don't want you to get pregnant. And she called me up and said, well, and I wasn't even a pastor at the time. She said, I don't want to take these birth control pills. My mom forcing me to take these birth control pills because, you know, I'm going on prom. And she said, you taught me not to have sex. But my mother forcing me to take these birth control pills because the prom time is coming up. Now, I'm not going against parents or anything like that. But she knew that what we taught her, that you're not supposed to have sex before marriage. Yeah. I don't care what event coming up. Prom time, wedding time, daytime, I don't care. It's a point of, but you have to be willing to, you know, you're disrespecting your parent. I'm not telling nobody to disrespect their parent.
Right.
But you got to take a stand on what you believe in.
Yeah, you got to have a conviction. Like I said, for example, the parent encourages the child. I take it that the teenager they of age encourages the child to take a drink for the first time or smoke with them. You have a conviction within yourself. You know,
you don't have to be safe to say no.
Right. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Everybody know how to say no to other things. You don't have to be safe to say no.
And to be honest, now I'll say this, even outside of Christianity, that's bad parenting. I will say it on international television. You don't have to know Jesus or the Holy Ghost. But for any parent to encourage their child to smoke or drink, that is bad parenting. I don't care if you don't believe in God. You don't need Jesus to be a decent parent.
But some parents feel that if they do it in my house, they won't have to do it outside. And I want to make them comfortable. So
once again, I'm not taking back what I'm saying. If you encouraging that, you know, like I say, get away from Christianity. You know, if one decides to do that on their own, they're older, that's fine. But you encouraging that. What kind of parent are you encouraging that?
But then it goes back to what I said, Pastor. If the parents would start thinking about what they doing, they would not be getting pregnant with everybody and having all these babies don't want to take care of them.
Well, we understand that too. So hopefully that kind of answered that. All right, this is the last one because we're out of time. And don't write nothing ugly letters. Okay, let's see. When you are a new believer, how do you fight off the sinful temptations from your family? Well, it's so important, especially if you're a new Christian. It's so important to be in church, not just that, but to get involved with your church family. You know, that's why I've always been for socializing with your Christian brothers and sisters outside of church. See, because this is a safe haven in here. See, as long as you're in here, you're straight. It's when you get out there. You know, so it's good to talk to and to be around your Christians and brothers throughout the week than just here. And that will help, especially if your family is not whatever. That will help. You know, because other than that, it can be really, really tough. Yeah. I mean, we say new Christians, it can be tough for people who've been saved a while.
You need a support system.
Yeah.
You need a support system. Support system is that somebody been through it, done it, and got fruit to do it. Don't talk to nobody that's been there, done it, and don't have no fruit. That's been there, done it, and got a fruit. In other words, I've been there, done it, and now I'm a survivor. I did it. So in other words, you need to find somebody in the church because everybody go through it. That's the first step you go through when you're a believer. When you're a new beginner, the first step you go through is with your family. Yeah. And everybody don't think you do, but that's really the first step. Sure. The first step is like, oh my God, because I'm going back and telling them, now I can't do this anymore. And they're like, what? You can do that. Ain't nothing wrong with you. You can do that. No, I can't do that anymore. And they gonna fight you tooth and nail. And they're gonna say, you know, you ain't gotta do all that. I go to church too. I still smoke. I still drink. I go to church too. Maybe that worked for them, but it cannot work for you. So in other words, you got to find somebody that's been there, done that, and have a fruit.
And let me inject that. It's not working for them. See, don't everybody think like, well, so can smoke and drink and they all right. No, they ain't. It ain't working for them. So I don't want anybody to get fooled with that. It ain't working for them. You know. Whenever a Christian sins, there's a conviction in them that hurts them. Sin makes cowards out of us. So don't think for me if you really saved. Now, if you sin and there's no conviction, no nothing, pretty much you never were saved. You know. But it's not working for them.
Because being saved, you want to change.
And I'm not saying that you don't do things or don't do weak, but it ain't working for you. That's where you have Christians who are kind of miserable. They defeated Christians. It ain't working for them.
You know,
it's not.
One of the things I have to say is because everybody, they have this false illusion that once you get saved, everything gonna be all right, and it's not that way. I know it looked that way, and it's not. It's like you are coming against the whole world, and the whole world don't want to let you go.
Yeah. And that's why you have to be taught.
And that's why you got to get taught.
Yeah.
You got to get your strength to build up yourself to know how to fight them. Because other than that, they're coming against you. Yeah. They are coming at you tooth and nail, and you are fighting a world that deceives, and they tell you that what's right and wrong. You have to be filled with the blood of Jesus.
Yeah. And surround yourself. I can't say it enough. Those of us who've been saved a long time, there are certain people I can't hang around. I just can't. And I always say it, listen, I start hanging around people that I shouldn't. Nothing may not happen this week or next month. I might be able to hold on to the fall. But sooner or later, the reverend will sink too. So it's important really who you're around. Especially when you're a new Christian. Hey, this is your new family now. You're whatever, and we're not saying disrespect of, but now you've got to learn who you are, and you got to be around your brothers and sisters. You know, and that's what a church where it's so important that we embrace the new Christians, because we know they don't know, and the struggles they go through. We've all been there. All of us who first time we got saved, we've had some struggles and persecutions and different things.
And it's not always with people. You are fighting your flesh.
Yeah.
Your flesh is used to being a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
Your mind is usually thinking a certain kind of way. So you fighting your flesh and you fighting your mind. And you like, my mind is like, I should be, no, but your mind ain't saved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your spirit got saved. Your mind is not saved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your flesh is not saved.
Yeah.
So it still won't do the same thing.
Okay, I guess we're just out of time. Once again, special reminder, this coming Saturday, April the 6th, 12 o'clock noon, Planning Your Success. Our scholarship will be in our luncheon. There are tickets available for you. I believe we still have tickets. Yes, there are still tickets. Those of you come and support our scholarship. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. God bless everybody. We'll see you next time.
Wasn't that an exciting word today? It was so great, and I'm so happy that I was here to hear the word. We're not out of word, but today we're out of time. On behalf of Better Life Faith Church, we would like to thank you for joining us for our live stream today. Before you leave our page, we would love for you to follow us, like us, and share us with a friend or family. If you like today's message, you're more than welcome to give us a call down below, and we'll get that message sent out to you. If you would like prayer today, you can call us, and one of our prayer warriors would love to come into agreement with you for your breakthrough. But as always, God bless you. When you learn better, you live better.